Huddle Up Podcast. It is August the 19th, 2025. We're glad to be back with you. Make sure you follow along with us on all of our social channels at Huddle Up Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitter. You can get us on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We're on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. as well. You can get our merchandise over on our T Public store. Would certainly appreciate all of the support wherever you can as we prepare for a new season of the Huddle Up Podcast. And that officially begins next week. So we will be back live on Tuesday nights from now on until the week after the Super Bowl, barring some any unforeseen changes, as we've had some technical issues at times over the years. But like I said, barring anything unforeseen, we'll be live with you each and every week through the duration of the football season. So we would certainly appreciate your support. If you know a football fan, a sports fan out there that doesn't follow along and listen to our show, we'd certainly appreciate you sharing that along with them. So we are going to kick it off one more time, just me and brother Sean. Sean, has been a journey here through the month of August, and we're down to our last recorded episode.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting because if we're at the end of the recorded episodes, that means we are on our last step before the live episodes, which is way more exciting.
Way more exciting.
It's not high def, but it feels like it.
A little bit,
because we're yelling at EJ in real time.
Yeah. We are dunking.
So much more exciting than anything we can do on the show.
Yeah, we are dunking on him week after week after week live in real time, and that is a good thing. So EJ, this one
you suck, you jackass.
There'll be more of that where that came from throughout the season. So for this week, as we close up the recorded episodes, I won't spoil it because they may involve a play of mine later in the show. But if you could change one play in your favorite team's history, what would it be? So we're going to go through the big four professional sports. We're also going to hit on college football as well. So each of our favorite teams, we've all had heartbreak. No matter how successful your team is in a particular sport, we've all had our heart broken at some point along the way. So what's the one heartbreak moment that you can think of that you go back to and say, this is the one that I got to switch. This is the one that needs to go the other way. If you could go back and change it. So we will start in the NBA.
Basketball.
And Sean, I'll go to you first. Give your team, so make sure people know who we're talking about, and what game, what moment would you change?
Well, I mean, it's my loosest sport. Like I love the sport of basketball. I used to love playing it. I do love watching basketball playoffs and things. I don't follow the NBA as close as I don't want to say as I should, but as I would like to. But I'm always going to be, Philadelphia the whole way. So, I'm always pulling for the Sixers. For a long time, that felt like just rooting for your kind of slow cousin that just couldn't keep up. But you're like, get out there and win that race. You don't finish last,
Right. Just be better than somebody.
There was a good chunk of time in my life where it was just kind of, the Sixers, good for them. Like they won. Good for them. Way to go, guys. Wow. But man, they've had a couple real good runs, in my adult lifetime. And obviously you could go back to Allen Iverson and his one finals appearance, but I don't think there's one single moment that lost him that series to the Lakers. For me, it's got to be, at least in recent memory, the Kawhi Leonard 7,000 bounces off at least 3 different backboards. I'm pretty sure a fan touched it at one point, and blew real hard. They're waving it in. I mean, that was bone crushing. And to be honest,
game 7, 2019 Eastern Conference Finals. Because similar to you, NBA, my loosest sport. We all know this.
That's the one. Because if he misses that shot, and the Sixers move forward,
you punch their ticket.
They punched their ticket. I'm not going to say they were going to go in and walk through. but I think the team was good enough to at least put up a fight. And if you get one, the whole trajectory of Joel Embiid's career and of a lot of those guys, and like the process has started a lot of. I just feel like everything changes and it becomes holding it instead of still chasing it. And I think that, if you even give yourself an opportunity to do that, that's got to be the one play for me that would stand out as God. I wish it didn't go in.
Yeah. It just, man, it just is an absolute killer. Yeah, I don't know if you go on. And I'm sorry, I wasn't the conference final. It was the second round, but yeah, like you go on. Maybe you win in the conference final. Maybe you move on, and get the win in the NBA finals. But yeah, just man, just the heartbreak, just absolutely gutting, absolute heartbreak for the Sixers there. I'll have to try to remember if some of my Sixer friends don't listen to this episode. If you listen to it, text me what your answer and respond when you as you watch this, as you listen to this. Go to our social media, send us your most heartbreaking moments from each sport. We would love to hear from you, but particularly if you're a Sixers fan and you listen to this, tell us if you have something different than the Kawhi Leonard bounces as your most heartbreaking. All right, Sean, moving along to baseball. What do you got for baseball?
Well, I'll tell you this, of the list, baseball to me is the hardest one, because to say you're changing one play, I feel makes it very difficult. I mean, you can change a game, you can change a situation,
Sure.
you can change an injury, but to change one play is very difficult. So while I was fairly young at the time and not necessarily a huge Phillies fan at the time, I mean, to me, like the one play that would stand out as an all-time Phillies fan would be Joe Carter hitting a home run in Game 6 of the 1993 series. I feel like that team was probably, I mean, it was definitely good enough to beat Toronto, and for it to happen off your closer. It was kind of between that. More currently would have been in 2009 when you're trying to repeat as World Series champions. But again, it's hard to like pick one moment, except that it was a Game 4 and the Phillies were down 2-1, and they managed. They were going against Sabathia on short rest, and they threw Joe Blanton against him. And you think like, man, this is not a good recipe for anything. And Blanton pitched a pretty decent game, and you wound up tied going into the 9th inning, and you're giving it to your closer to try to get you out of the 9th. And then an at bat with Johnny Damon. He fights off, gets a single, steals 2 bases, and winds up scoring a run that you never give. They wind up coming out of that inning down, like it was down 2 or 3, maybe it was even 4. I know they were down big at that point, and they didn't have a chance to like. And at that point, you go down 3-1 in the series, and it was a real tall order to ask anybody to come back. But if you can stop that Johnny Damon at bat, and you can get him out, and maybe get through that inning unscathed, maybe you have to go to extras, maybe you don't. But the bullpen was at least solid enough that maybe you had a shot. But that was an at bat that really killed our chance at winning a second World Series in 2009. So I'd say either of those two scenarios would be very good Phillies moments that we would love to have back.
Yeah, this one there was no question, there was no doubt, there was no debate. Because honestly, as a 40-year-old Orioles fan, there hasn't been a ton of singular moments that have actually really kind of broken my heart. It's been more seasons and teams and just life in general have been heartbreaking as the Baltimore Orioles, much like the 2025 season has been. But there's a moment, and I'd love to know if there's any Orioles fans that hear this, if you have a different moment. But it's the 1996 ALCS. It's Game 1. It is in Yankee Stadium when young Jeffrey Mayer interferes with a long ball and catches it, and it's awarded a home run for the Yankees, where it should have been fan interference. It should have been an out, and the Orioles probably should have gone on and won that game. But they didn't. They ended up losing the series 4-1. So I don't know if the Orioles win that game if they end up beating the Yankees, but I certainly know that it's much harder to be the road team in a baseball series when you lose game one out of the gate, and when you lose it in kind of a questionable cheater borderline fashion that it kind of sets sets it up for disaster, because you look at the rest of that series. I mean, if you win the first one, maybe you catch fire, maybe you win, maybe you get the pennant, you go on to the World Series. Yankees beat the Braves 4-2. So maybe the Orioles actually would have won the World Series in 1996. But I don't know. But yeah, that's the one that really, really, really sticks out of my mind in Orioles history. That is the heartbreaker for sure. All right, let's go to hockey next, because obviously we always, when we do these sort of things, we always finish with the two footballs.
Correct.
So let's go to hockey, Sean. Where are you going in hockey?
Well, hockey's another one too. Much like baseball, where finding that one play is very difficult, but we can hone it into like a very specific part of a game. Obviously, when you talk about the Philadelphia Flyers, they've been since the Broad Street Bullies, there really haven't been a lot of even opportunities, minus a sweep to the very similar to the Sixers and the Lakers. The Flyers had a sweep from the Detroit Red Wings in a finals. That was pretty rough. But the Flyers have always been competitive, and they're a team that have always found a way, minus the recent years where we're trying to, rebuild a bit and get some young talent in there, have always had winning seasons and are always at least there. And whether you just belong there or not, like, you give yourself a chance. And for me, because like when we were kids, like there were some very good Flyers teams back when it was nothing but Islanders and Oilers. The Flyers had some very good teams in there.
Right.
In fact, they have a team that went to a Game 7 against Wayne Gretzky and the Oilers. And
sure did.
I mean, if you're talking about iconic, like all-time Flyers heartbreaking scenarios, that Game 7 loss to the Oilers was probably brutal. It would have been, I mean, you would have been immortalized. You would have been one of 3 teams to win in the 80s.
Right.
But in my lifetime, there's probably 2. And the one that's probably, it wasn't in a Stanley Cup final, but it's probably more heartbreaking, would have been, I'll go to a game, and it's in 2004. They played the Tampa Bay Lightning, ironically, living in Tampa Bay now, in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it went to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Flyers were all but dead to rights in the third period of Game 6, and came back to tie it in regulation, and then won it in overtime in Philadelphia in Game 6. Went to a Game 7 and lost a 2-1 game. So I don't know which point in that game would have been the thing, but it was a regulation loss, Game 7. Lightning go on, and pretty much the rest is history. But that Flyers team probably had a legitimate shot at least putting up a fight. But my personal one is because we actually got there in 2010 with my current GM, and if he turns this around, potentially my life partner, Danny Briere. Danny Briere and a squad that really, while there were a lot of guys on there that embodied Philadelphia, a lot of hard workers, a lot of blue collar linesmen, a lot of a lot of bruisers. It was not a team, realistically, that even getting into the playoffs, anyone would have put into the finals. But you found yourself there, and you were playing a team that was probably better than you in a Chicago Blackhawks. And then you get the ridiculous late game, hard angle, ricochet shot that I'm not even sure the announcers knew how it went in.
There was 2 people in Wells Fargo
that shot it,
that
and
knew
the
it was in.
referee.
Patrick Kane and was it Brizgalov was the goalie, right?
Yeah, I don't even think Brizgalov.
No, it was Leighton. It was Michael Leighton.
Oh, Mike Leighton was playing that game. Brizgalov wouldn't have been in the finals that year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leighton, and I don't think he even knew it went past him.
Oh, he knew. You go back. Well, I know you won't, but if you ever
I'm not watching that again.
if you ever feel bad about yourself, go back and watch
Jokes on you. I always feel bad about myself.
Go back and watch. If you ever go back and watch that, Michael Layton knows that puck's in.
Man,
Patrick Kane knew that puck was in,
and it's
nobody else.
But if you can get to a game 7,
yeah,
anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to this day, if I have to hear that da 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 da,
I worked with a guy, and
makes me want to punch somebody.
We would always jab at each other. It was sports.
That would have been a miracle. Miracle Mets nothing. That would have been a way bigger miracle.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
For that team to win a Stanley Cup and bring it back for the first time in like 30 years.
And for Michael Layton to be, I mean, that guy was a glorified AHL goalie. I mean, he
spent most of his career in the AHL.
There was no business. Michael Layton was
got hot in a playoff run and just
was the goalie in the Stanley Cup final. There's no reason for that. But I would take my phone and I would put on that Blackhawks song and I would like poke it just in to my friend's office just loud enough that he would hear it. Fuck you.
You're lucky he didn't shatter that phone.
He tried.
'Cause you're not that fast.
I'm not that fast, but I was much bigger than him, so maybe I had that going for me.
Maybe he was just crying.
Maybe he was.
Took a while to stop crying.
So my NHL one, and I could have gone to like a laundry list of playoff heartbreaks against the most hated rival, the team from Western PA. But I went in a series against the team from Eastern PA. And if my friend Jason listens to this, he should have known where I was going with this when the topic presented itself. Because I go to the 2008 Stanley Cup playoffs. It is the first time in my like real like grown up life I've seen the Capitals performing well. They had fired their coach, Glenn Hanlon, the day Thanksgiving Day actually, and then Bruce Boudreau gets promoted from Hershey to Washington. His first game is in Philadelphia the day after Thanksgiving. They actually win in Philly. He goes on, they end up winning the Southeast Division. Nobody can see it, but I have it, the replica banner here to my right. Sponsored by Geico. The replica Southeast champion, division champion banner. And the Capitals were the 3 seed. They took on the number 6 seed Flyers. They went to their first of what seemed like a nonstop list of game 7s. And the Capitals were winning. There was a point in the third period where a Flyers player interfered with the Capitals goalie, didn't get called for it. The Flyers tie the game.
Sounds like sour grapes to me.
We go to overtime, and then and I hate even saying this motherfucker's name, but Joffrey Lupul buries a goal behind Cristobal Huet, and it was one of those ones where like I think I don't exactly remember all the specifics how the play broke down, but Lupul's behind Cristobal Huet and just ends up with the puck on his stick, and Lupul's behind here by himself, and Huet's still looking the other direction, and it was like slow motion because I'm just like, I see it hit Lupul's stick, and I'm just like, God damn it! I'm like, and I knew it was over, and I was so pissed. And looking at the rest of that bracket that year, the Flyers went on to play Montreal. They beat him in the second round. The Caps would have ended up playing Pittsburgh in the second round, so it probably would have just been another year of heartbreak in that aspect.
Yeah.
So it would have happened that way anyway. But the Flyers end up going. They lose to Pittsburgh in the conference finals. Pittsburgh. So had the Capitals won, maybe they were just playing with fire. Maybe they could have gotten past Pittsburgh and done something special. But that one, because it was my first taste of Stanley Cup playoff hockey, man. And every day the Capitals played in that series, all 7 games of them, like my entire day, I didn't think about anything else. It was just
Right.
Capitals. This is hockey games tonight, and I just remember just every day, just like waiting for 7:00, wait for 7:00, and then just Joffrey Lupul. I hope he's having a miserable life. No, I'm just kidding.
I got to tell you, being on the other end of that play, that was a very great feeling. Being able to be like, well, it's over before it's even in the net. Yeah, there it is.
It just
It would have been very Philadelphia for him to miss that shot.
Just absolutely fucking whip it.
Just pull it wide right. It just
wide right. All right, now we move on to football. We will start in college football. Anybody that's been a fan of this show for more than 5 seconds, you know that that we are both Notre Dame fans. So I'm curious because there's certainly many options in our lifetime of heartbreak.
There's plenty of heartbreak. I mean, I almost had to like do a search to like be like, okay, where does the heartbreak start and where are the moments? And I was like, man, these are all terrible. These are all absolutely gut-wrenching moments in my lifetime.
The fact that last season, the last season, and when Notre Dame went to the national championship game and lost, but their win against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, the SEC champion Georgia that Notre Dame beat. Remember that? It was their first major bowl win.
Yeah.
Since 1994 in the Sugar Bowl. I was 8. I was 8. I just turned 40 this year. So it was literally, I mean, it was a long time.
I've had personal heartbreaking moments with them, trips to South Bend that result in heartbreak. I've had, week to week regular season ones. Sometimes the season's over real early, but that's still heartbreaking.
We thought last season was over real early.
I thought that could have been it. I thought that should have been, and
there's some people that thought it should have been too, but
fortunately we have a playoff committee now.
Thank God we have a 14-team playoff now.
Yeah,
because that would have been a death blow in a 14 college football playoff for sure. But Sean, which of the plethora of Notre Dame moments did you pick as the one that you would change?
Well, I'm willing to bet there's a good chance that this moment is going to happen twice on this show.
I'm curious.
November 20th, 1993. Notre Dame, fresh off a win over then number 1 Florida State in South Bend, Indiana, for the most covered college football game pretty much of all time. 1 versus 2. Number 2 takes down number 1 and Charlie Ward and those stupid goddamn Seminoles. And Notre Dame rises to number 1, party in South Bend for 7 days. Yeah. And then comes November 20th in a game that Notre Dame led substantially in this game. Let the Screaming Eagles, or whatever you want to call them, just come back, sneak back in, and then finally
it's always the Eagles. It's always the Eagles, by the way. It makes my life.
Wrong Eagles. And then at the end of the game, it comes down to David Gordon. David Gordon attempting a 41-yard field goal. David Gordon missed from 40 yards earlier in the game and had missed a 40-yard field goal earlier that season, and drills it. Drills a 41-yard field goal, which at the time there is no playoff. There is nothing. The only other team that can match your record up to this point is Florida State, who you beat. But you know what they didn't do? They didn't lose to Boston College.
Yeah.
So after Florida State wins their bowl game, we win ours. Finish second to a team that you beat. So if I could change one play, I would have David Gordon have a heart attack right before kicking that football. And or whatever happens, just block the kick. Maybe that's a little simpler, but just push it wide. Anything to stop that kick from going through. That's the one play. The one, because a lot of the other heartache had several moments in games, and that's the one for me that it's one play. Just stop that kick.
Yeah.
And you're, I'm not gonna say you're gonna walk to a national championship, but I mean, we pretty much drew the same team we were going to draw anyway, and obliterated them in the bowl game. So I just, that's the one. It's not close for me.
Yeah. That one obviously incredibly heartbreaking. That one probably the right answer. I actually went different.
Okay. I mean, there's plenty to choose from.
There's plenty to choose from. It's a moment you and I were also together for. And I go to the 2005 season. And I go to October the 15th of 2005. And it is a Saturday in South Bend when the number 9 Fighting Irish took on the number 1 USC Trojans. And they came
finalist.
And they came prepared that day. They grew the grass extra long to slow down the UFC offense.
As you should.
They did. They busted out what is arguably the greatest green jersey switch of all time with the dark green and the gold numbers. And Notre Dame carried a lead, a 31-27 lead. Or I guess 28, I guess it would be because didn't need the extra point. Spoiler alert. Late into the fourth quarter, and their defense steps up 3 times. And then on a 4th and 9 with 1 minute and 26 seconds to go, that motherfucking left-handed Matt Leinart hits a 4th and 9 pass that goes all the way down to like the 5-yard line, which eventually then leads to the Bush push.
Right.
Which was illegal at the time, by the way.
Illegal.
Not allowed at the time. Now, totally legal, but illegal at the time, not called. But I would go back and they would make the stop on that 4th.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, you would think the Bush push is what's going to, and that'd be a very good moment to overturn. That'd be a very good moment. Very good moment to remember. But you stop at a 4th and 9, that doesn't even come into play.
You stop it, you take the knee, you're gone, you're home. Because at that point, Notre Dame is ranked number 9 because they didn't even fall after the loss. They finished the year at number 9 after losing to Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. But their only other loss that year was a week 3 loss, 44-41 to Michigan State on a play that was offensive interference by Michigan State on the fake field goal, but again, whatever. Another heartbreaker. But, here's the thing. I'm not saying Notre Dame beats Texas in the Rose Bowl for the BCS National Championship. But what I do know is that if Notre Dame beats USC, they're probably in the national championship that year because they had the resume.
Yeah.
They would have all, they had also beaten a couple other top 10 teams.
That defense showed up that day too. Like I know USC put up a good bit of points, but that was a well-oiled Pete Carroll machine.
Tom had a punt return for a touchdown. I mean, it was one of those games that for a good portion of my life I never saw where just everything worked for Notre Dame. The bounces went their way.
And it was building the emotion. If you win that game and you can ride that emotion for a couple of, you might not ever stop.
Yeah.
And so that's what you
Charlie Weiss maybe doesn't get fired after signing the biggest contract.
In hindsight, maybe it's better we lost.
You know what? It actually is probably better.
Probably better.
But yeah, I would have changed the 4th and 9. Notre Dame makes the stop and goes on to beat USC. So
that's a good one.
Plenty of other ones there for sure. But all right, which then of course, Sean, brings us to our last one, the National Football League. We've both had plenty of heartbreak in the National Football League. You've had more happy times in recent years.
In recent years, yes.
But what heartbreaking moment in Eagles history are you changing?
Well, and obviously there's plenty. There's a lot in the Donovan McNabb era that could have easily gone another way. F you, Kurt Warner. There's a ton of situations when you come to a play. But if you're going to get it down to a play, we're going to keep it recent. Only because a lot of the Donovan McNabb era ones, I can't guarantee that we would have won a Super Bowl. And I can't guarantee it here either. But I can all but. pass interference at the end of a game on James Bradbury on a pass thrown by Patrick Mahomes that sure probably was catchable. By the book is probably pass interference, but it's ticky-tack and you haven't called it the whole game. And to just pull it out of your arsenal at the last minute because Patty Mahomes isn't going to get a shot at, like, taking the lead. And keep in mind, I mean, it was a tie game. It wasn't like the Eagles were going to, like if they get the ball back, they're not guaranteed anything. But the Eagles were outplaying the Chiefs, not quite as bad as they did this time. But I feel like we're outplaying the Chiefs. I feel like the field had slowed down a bit. Some of that slipperiness that was very apparent most of the game had worn down. And the Eagles were starting to move the ball better. And Jalen played probably just as good in the first Super Bowl against the Chiefs as he did in the second one. And I don't think the winner in Jalen Hurts, if he got that ball back in a tie game with a minute or two to play, I don't think the Chiefs see the ball again. I think they drive down, they wear down the clock, and whether it's a 1-yard touchdown with like 20 seconds to play or whether it's a field goal with no time left on the clock, I think the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. If that pass interference isn't called, and that's the frustrating thing. It's not even like the end result of the play. It's like a human interaction to the play. But that pass interference call to me is the closest thing to one play to win a Super Bowl that the Eagles have. So that's my play.
Yeah, that one certainly could have changed a lot of things for you. Yeah, in terms of for me and the Cowboys, there's again plenty to choose from. But I go to January the 11th of 2015. It's 2014, 2015 NFL playoffs, and it's a play that helped shape the conversation around what is a catch and what isn't a catch for the next decade. It's the Des Carter game.
Not a catch.
And it was absolutely a catch. Go fuck yourself. It was absolutely a catch. And then that's obviously what would change, that it would actually be ruled correctly and would be a catch. Because, you know, obviously, yes, I've had heartbreaking seasons, heartbreaking plays, but if there's one in the post Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin years that actually probably, if there's a season that they could have probably gone the whole way, that year was probably their best chance. That team was just clicking extremely well with one another. It wasn't the team that was the best out of all of them, but it's the one that was playing the best together. They had beaten Detroit the week before. You were going into Lambeau. You would, with this probably would have sealed the game for them at that point. You move on the next week. Green Bay loses to Seattle by 6. They end up losing to the Patriots. I don't know if the Cowboys would have won the Super Bowl, but even getting to the NFC Championship for the first time since the 95 season and having an opportunity, I think you do beat Seattle at least. And yeah, it just that is easily and there's a list, but that is easily, and as I'm remembering about it, and it's almost like embarrassing how mad I got that day at that play.
But like, embarrassing about that.
Like I lost. Like that was easily the maddest.
I ruined my friend Marcus's Steelers AFC Championship game party when Kurt Warner and the Falcons, or the Kurt Warner and the Cardinals, beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game because Greg Lewis can't catch a ball on the sideline that's in his fucking breadbasket, and then Kurt Warner goes on one of his like I'm Kurt Warner and people are gonna remember me drives and beat the Eagles at the late, because I really felt that was the year that I felt that the Eagles had like the best all-around team in the era, Andy Reid era, and would have been the best shot. And we would have gotten to play eventually against the Steelers instead of having to watch. Because not only did we not get to play the Steelers, but now like one of the most iconic catches in Super Bowl history is freaking San Antonio Holmes' foot, which is a great catch and a great moment. But like, we could have prevented all that from being locked into our memories, and the Eagles could have been there.
I
But
mean,
I went to the
understand the
AFC
Steelers
title game
won.
party with my buddies, and I ruined it. The whole time he's like, "Yay, Steelers!" And I'm like, I hope Kurt Warner dies in a plane crash. Like I'm just like I hope they don't even make it back to Arizona. Like I'm just like screaming. I'm in a full blown pout party.
But
so it's okay to be angry, James. It's all right to ruin people's lives around you.
I was so pissed, and it like I was by myself. I remember I went up. The call got reversed. I shut the TV off. I went upstairs because we were still in our old house. And I sat on the floor. I took off my jersey. I threw it on the floor. I took off my hat, threw it on the floor, and I just sat on the floor of my bedroom. As I'm an adult. I'm 20. I would have been 29 years old, sitting on the floor of my bedroom.
That's what you do when you're upset, James. You sit on the floor and you cry. That's what you do.
I didn't even cry. It broke. Like that play broke me. Like that was the beginning of the big downturn of where I was at.
I watched the whole city do that when I watched the Eagles lose to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl in 2005. I think it was 2005, where the McNabb's only shot at the Super Bowl and they lost. I was in Philadelphia, but it was North Philly at LaSalle. But when that game ended, because I don't know, I think most people in Philly were like, "Look, we're going to need our perfect game, and they're going to have to mess up." And the fact that we were still in it to the end without that happening was insane. But man, you went outside after that game, and there was no buses, there was no gunshots, there was no screaming. Everyone was sitting on the floor of their bedroom, James. That's what was happening. Everyone was just quiet.
Yeah, and I just sat there for a long time.
It's like a disbelief, anger, sadness.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it, because I'm like, it's one thing. It's one thing if your team loses, if they go out and they shit the bed. And trust me, I'm a Cowboys fan. I've seen that.
It's happened
many times. Cowboys, Notre Dame, Capitals, all of them. They've done it. But like to have done the thing you needed to do, and somebody else says, don't think so, and they just rip the rug out from under your feet. Oh, it was just
there's no city that knows that false hope more.
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
That's
when it falls. Like something amazing is happening. You're just like, don't even talk about it. Don't think about it. Don't breathe.
I'm already
thinking about it. And then like, oh, there's Joe Carter. God damn it.
And there it goes. It was like a year or two after this play, because again, this is where my relationship with the Dallas Cowboys really started to change. Because like I'm like, even when good things are happening, I'm like, nope, no. So there was a point where the Cowboys they started off poorly. I forget who they were. I think they were playing the Cardinals. Cardinals got out to a big lead. Cowboys start coming back, and Miss Big Jim looks at me and she goes, "Why are you not excited?" The Cowboys are driving, right? It's like end of the game. The Cowboys are driving, and I go, I've seen this game before. She goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "They're not going to win." She's like, "Yeah, but they're trying." I go, "Look, they're going to find a creative way. Like they're going to get to like a 26-yard field goal straight ahead. No win because it's in Arizona. No win is good, and they're going to just find a way. He's going to miss it by like 2 yards left. He's just going to pull it just enough." And sure enough, man, they get down, they get in position, call timeout. Cardinals don't have timeout. He can't ice the kicker, and he just pulls it. And the Cowboys lost by like 2. And she goes, "How'd you know that was going to happen?" I go, "Because I know my team." That was the response.
Even in the Super Bowl in the city of Philadelphia, like the Super Bowl this year, when the score is starting to get. I don't like the fact that everyone in Philadelphia, for the most part, has a slightly different moment where they accepted that we were going to win the Super Bowl. And I'd imagine there's a good chunk that was like, 0 minutes left, 0 seconds.
Right.
Like,
There was some.
we have our back. Kenny Pickett's playing quarterback for the Eagles, and people are like, "Why are you doing that?
Well, why are you doing this? This is where it
You're gonna
ends.
screw this up, man. It's gonna be a fumble return for 6 points, and then you're gonna try to get the starters back in. It's not gonna work." Like, there were people that were like, "We're gonna blow this 40-point lead."
So here's the watching that Super Bowl, I knew it was over at the Cooper DeJean. The
That's
clip
where most people.
Was that your moment, or did you have a different one?
I think in my heart of hearts, I knew that was a very exciting moment.
Well, you know that now in hindsight.
But I knew at that moment that
you were in a really good spot.
We were in a really good spot.
But we've seen great spots get blown before.
I feel like Devontae Smith.
Okay.
Because that was later.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like those are the two.
Devontae Smith was when I said it out loud.
Okay.
Like, Devontae Smith was when I was like, we just won the fucking Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, and keep in mind, there's still over a quarter and a half of football left. like I'm still jumping the gun technically, but man, they weren't going to fucking do anything. And I'm very excited to have been a part of that and to have watched it down here with other people from the Philly area and all sorts of things. And hey, I don't know if anybody from Florida's watching because of who I was watching with. There's a lot of really good Philly cheesesteaks down here if you want to get a chance. But if you're in St. Pete and you have not been to the Violet Stone, go check them out. They just changed locations. Look them up on Google. Violet Stone. I was watching with the owners of that place. Very great people. Very very proud of their Philly area heritage. We're gonna give them a shout out on that one because they had a private room at the bar we were watching at, and a buddy of mine's friends with them, and they invited. He kind of let me come in, and they were super cool with it. We're like, "Go Birds," and buying shots and we were having a great time. Obviously, it was a really cool experience. So, Violet Stone, go see them. Great cheesesteaks, good wood, good pizza. Everything's great there. So go check them out.
Very good. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean though when you talk about not trusting a lead, not trusting a victory. So my one time, it's right above my head now. The one time in my adult life that I have had that ultimate sports moment. And if you know this about hockey, that the puck has to be completely across the line before zero. It's not like the NBA where you throw up a shot,
right,
and it can hit zero, and
it needs to be all the way in.
It needs to be all the way in. Yes. So 2018 Stanley Cup Finals, Game 5 in Vegas. Capitals have a 4-3 lead, and they ice the puck. So it comes down in the face-off is in front of Braden Holtby, the Capitals. Sean, there is 0.6 seconds on the clock. Now, common sense brain knows it is basically a mathematical impossibility.
It is in the laws of physics and math and science and time.
Because the minute the second the puck hits the ice, that clock starts. And you have to get, it's what, 20 feet, 25 feet from
you can't pass.
You can't pass. You would have to
You would have to slap it
almost
off the ice the moment it hits.
Get through 4 Capital defenders and a goalie and get in.
And get past the line.
And over the line completely in 0.6. Basically a mathematical impossibility.
And you still doubted it.
And they're getting ready to set the thing. And Mr. Big Jim is like, oh my God, they did. I go,
don't you say that.
I was like, I don't know.
You can think it, but the moment you believe it, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I didn't even think it. I am just like, I want to see
that moment that your brain goes, we're gonna win.
We got it right. Like
Toast.
I needed the clock to hit 0. I needed to see players coming off the bench. I needed gloves in the air until I allowed myself to get happy. because just all of the times that my
Yeah.
teams have.
I used to think it was just me, that it was just like a personal thing.
Yeah,
until
no.
like I'm like at a, it was like I think it was a Phillies game, and it was one where like, oh no, I was definitely at an Eagles game, and there was like a score, and some guy behind us is like, I hear him talk to his dad or his friend. He's like, "We're gonna win," and before I could even say it, like a whole row, would you shut the fuck up?
Shut up. Yeah, it just the
And that
sport.
guy then watched the rest of the game in fear because he's like, "Oh Christ, if we lose this game,
I'm dead.
I should
Honest to
leave
God,
now."
if
He
I'm
should've
that guy
left.
at that point, I'm
I'd have left.
at least getting out of that section.
I'm making sure my keys are in my pocket. I'm ready to.
I'm making my
I'm
way.
gonna
I'm
watch it
going
from the
over to the
concourse. I'm
Miller
gonna go
Lite, like
down.
the
I'm gonna go down and watch it from the standing room.
standing room area or
Yeah,
something. I am
I've
not staying around
I
those
have
people.
overstayed my well. But see, then he's admitted it too. Like then you've also got it. But we'd have followed him.
Yeah, actually, that's true. All right, well, that's going to bring us to the end. We are.
Yeah, we got through them all.
We got through them all. We worked through some trauma today. It's almost like a therapy session.
Yeah, a nice little huddle up therapy session.
There you go. So hit us up on our social media across the board. Let us know your heartbreaking moments, and see if you have the same ones. Maybe you have different ones. Follow us on all of our social media. We're at Huddle Up Podcast across the board: Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitter. We're at Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. You can get us on YouTube at Huddle Up Podcast. Give us a subscribe there, and you get our merchandise at TeePublic. We'll be back next week. We are live, and we will be live over the duration of the football season. But next week, it is our college football preview show. We break down the conference champions. We break down who we think is going to the college football playoff, who will win the college football playoff national championship. We're also going to have games to predict for the opening week of college football. So until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the pin.